Thomas, Kate Harvard from Audit Wales, and Jake Albert.
Right, okay. Who's supposed to be representing the uniform side of the organisation, or ops or whatever? How is that represented with us?
The way it normally works where I've been is you have the lead director for the particular director, and in this case you've got Alistair. But if there was a read across for an operational matter, then of course we can invite ops here as well. So if you want me to go and get someone like Dean to come join us, I can. That's probably my bad because I didn't think to make sure that they were there.
No, it's just that when it comes to the sickness thing, it's mostly the ops people of sick. So
Okay.
we can take it under advisement because it was a short notice
Yes.
paper.
Yeah.
But later on, if it's
Okay, super, noted,
Right.
yeah.
Apologies, folks. Declaration of interest. Any of those already notified?
No.
Okay, no. Moving on then to chairperson's announcements. Just that to reiterate what we said at the main committee meeting, we've got Adam Openshaw from Gloucester Fire Rescue, who's now our new deputy. Anticipated start date is the 1st of December. Matt Jones, head of ops from here, is now I think promoted to assistant chief, as of Martin Ward White from West Fire Service. I think he's just working on start times. I think is it end of November, early December.
Yeah, I think Martin Ward-White has indicated he could be available mid to end of November.
Okay.
So we're just working through those dates with him.
Okay, right. Okay, moving on to item 4 minutes and big committee report. Take this first on page 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. No. Moving on.
I don't think I was there, so I'm not much help with that.
Update on the outstanding issues. None. Happening on then people procedure reform project update.
Me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I've just got the sort of information in a pre-seed form because I know you've all read the report. So reports for information and assurance purposes. Commissioners are asked to scrutinise the process made on redrafting of the people procedures. The implications of community environment, regulation, strategy and policy, and resources, assets and delivery are all covered in section 3. So I don't need to go through those. So the Morris report recommended that all the procedures be redrafted with the benefit of legal advice. Hugh James Employment and HR Services were engaged in June this year to provide legal advice to the service. They also agreed to provide consultation for the redrafting of priority procedures. 9 procedures identified as such have been scrutinised by Hugh James, 3 of which are now available via the service intranet with the procedure pages. 3 are currently under consultation following scrutiny by Hugh James, and 3 are due to be released for consultation in the next week that have gone through Hugh James. And there are also some still remaining within that haven't come back yet. These are in addition to any procedures that we are able to make minor updates to independent of any legal scrutiny. There's some further detail on that in section 4, the names of some of the procedures and things if you need to know that. HMIC-FRS has criticised procedures across fire services for being overly detailed, complex and difficult to navigate. These things could impact accessibility and the consistency of application. So as well as consideration of best practice guidelines and legislative changes, we are also considering accessibility, inclusion and clarity, and we're working to the British Dyslexia Association style guide. Collaborative work with media and comms is underway to redesign the overall presentation of the policy documents, procedure documents, to sort of visually enhance, if you like, what we're already doing with the substance. Future work will be focusing on embedding new and updated procedures and focusing on communication, training and monitoring of that. That's a quick, speedy overview, really.
It's just back onto section 4, page 2. We've got 54 live procedures,
Yes.
which includes all the blah. But the total in the table above is 59.
Yes, that's because it includes ones that have been withdrawn or amalgamated.
Okay.
So that figure isn't the live ones.
Right. So withdrawn and amalgamated is 6. So why isn't it 53?
because where they're amalgamated to become one,
Become
not
one.
zero.
All right, withdraw.
I could drill right down into lots of detail and show more. I just think it was
Are you satisfied that we've got the overarching framework, right, for which all these procedures come up? Or have we just rewritten all our procedures? Have we looked at how the whole thing fits together?
We haven't at the moment, really. If we look through the whole thing, we were previously going to do that and have considered it. But I think the focus here was on getting the content in what we had right. And then at a later date, hopefully we would consider how to group them, whether there are bits and pieces that could change as well. We're also, while we're doing this, actually I didn't include it, Susan, we're looking at where elements of the procedures are perhaps not, they have no need to be in there. They can be in a separate document, which doesn't need to go through consultation and review. So where they are detailing our process, which can be changed because that doesn't need consultation, we remove that and put it somewhere else. We can strip them down further, which is what we're trying to do now. If you were to look on the service intranet page, you'll see one of the most recent new ones for Agile Working is broken down. The procedure it's still longish because it's a newly introduced thing, but the EQIA, Manager's Toolkit, other information, FAQs are all alongside each other broken down. So that's a better way to do it going forwards.
By having the whole overarching strategy,
Yeah.
you can see if there are gaps.
Yeah.
I guess it's knowing, because we've rewritten the procedures we've got, but are there things that we haven't got that would be better knitted together if we had the other? So I guess if at some point when you do need to be able to look at what would you want as a whole suite of procedures in what sort of framework.
We were looking at a while ago at employee life cycle.
Yeah.
So it becomes maybe more user friendly to employees as well if it was laid out that way. At the moment, it's just like a big long list of numbers and titles. We have asked whether they can be alphabetized instead of based off number, but they can't. If we make a change to our section, it affects everything in the whole suite of procedures for the entire organisation. So we would then influence everyone else's indexing because of the way the IT is set up. So we can't change ours.
The ICT, is it helping or hindering?
Yes.
Getting in the way.
Yeah.
So, okay, so bear in mind that we've got the head of ICT. Where are we with the JD for the new head of ICT, DG8?
So it's with Alacrity, I understand. So that's,
Actually,
the charity
yeah.
that
What are they doing there?
they're reviewing it to see if it's market leading.
We borrowed one from another service, didn't we? You said that.
We need, I think we're going to be asking for an update from Alacrity because they seem to be, ICT is a big thing. They're involved in it. We need to know where we are. I think we're speaking to Jake to see like where we are. But again, we had a job description almost done a while ago. Yeah, and we've got, when is it due?
Next end of October.
End of October. So in 5 weeks less, someone is leaving and we haven't got the job advert. Can we find out timeline? We need to have that.
Yeah, so that's with the head of ICT. So we'll chat to Brian.
Right.
So it's not blocked with us, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, right. So when Brian comes in,
Mhm.
whatever that is, then let's find out and he's going to start about the ICT because we need to release this. It's going to take a while, isn't it? It's going to, we're going to get someone, they're going to be on 3 months' notice.
Yeah.
Right, okay, because and with what we've got currently, so if you're Sunday night, you're at home, you want to check on some HR procedures, can you access it on your phone?
No.
Only on your work tablet?
Yeah.
So unless you've got a work tablet and you're not at work, you can't access this stuff.
No.
Not to my knowledge, anyway, no.
No.
We're working this.
All the on-call then?
Yeah, no, they have to go into work to look at them. Or they ask their next manager or whatever for advice, or that's for advice. But yeah, because it was, your example, Sunday night, no, they can't find out.
So one of the firefighters, the 3 watches that are not on duty on Sunday night can't access this.
Not at the moment. the work that's been done recently isn't slightly different, it's not here, with the app version of our HRIS, so the XD, People XD system. There's a facility in there, and I believe, where you can upload documents, which that would then mean we could upload all our procedures there, and then they would be accessible via the app on people's phones, should they choose to download it when they don't have a work phone. I don't have much update on that at the moment. Our systems administrator in HR is on long-term sick.
I think it's something that we need, it's something for ICT and our digital strategy,
Yeah.
because I know people who are grounds workers in local charities and they have a mobile phone. And we haven't got that capability across the organisation.
So for the minutes, I'm just conscious, we've discussed a few things. So were you saying at some point you'd like to see the overarching framework for HR policy? Is that
Probably too early to get that, but we'd like to understand what time frame that sits in.
And we could show it to you visually in terms of our ambition, because
Okay.
we've done all the work.
Okay,
The
next meeting then.
yeah,
And then before then, we need to have the DDA 18.
Yeah.
And actually sorted out.
Yeah.
22.
And you'd like an update on that?
Yeah.
The next.
Yeah, should be, yeah. And then something about where we are in terms of the overall IT processes that are underpinning this.
Yeah, if you want more detail on how it works at the moment, I can give you that outside of the meeting if you'd like.
Anyone got any other questions, points want to raise in this? So. The
I
rest of
suppose the only question that might be worth asking is, are we getting things back quickly enough from Hugh James, or is there, do we need to spend, because I think there's an arrangement, which is where, yes, we're sort of subject to the fact they're doing this as a bit of a favour, maybe.
Yeah.
And so therefore I wonder whether we should be considering spending funds to speed up that process. That's the only other thing.
so I was just, my question would be linked to that, which is of the quantum of work that needs to be done, how much of it have they done?
If we look at, I'm not sure exactly what's been identified as sort of priority procedures and to look at. So it wouldn't be all of them. So I'm not really sure what's outstanding. They've still got 3 at the moment, I think, which are waiting for back. I'm not really sure if there's more waiting to go to them, but it is
They want
taking
to know
some
that.
time to come back.
Good.
Unless Elisa may have given them that information and I don't know.
yeah. So we focused on the ones identified in the Fenella Morris report, so they've gone. But there's a whole suite of others that need refreshing as well.
Do they know how much they've let themselves in for? We thought, wow, this is a really good deal for us. Do they know it's a really good deal for them?
I don't know. I've had a lot of direct dealings with them.
Who's dealing with them? Lisa?
It depends
Yeah.
what it's for, really,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
So for select discipline or grievance cases, they'll come to the individual that raises it. So whichever people services manager. I think policy was more Lisa, wasn't it? In terms of the initial discipline and grievance, she was their point of contact.
So how do we get a handle on, if lots of people are going individually,
Yeah.
who knows, is it all on track or are we nearly there yet?
So yeah,
Lisa's
Lisa's
the best
our
idea
Bob
for-
with
Right.
Hugh James.
So that'd be useful to get an update as to.
Yeah.
Just an update, not necessarily a report. It would be a verbal update, it's an outstanding action. The size of the quantum that we've expected from you, James, how much has been completed? And over what time frame is it going to take? And then to Amanda's point, we then need to have a view, do we need to sort of pay some of this to get it done? We don't want to let Hugh James know that yet.
No. We did have, I wonder, we did have a policy officer. Would have probably managed all
Yeah.
of this, but when they left a few years ago, they weren't replaced. And somebody, Suzanne, who was working with Dominic, was
Right.
sort of well, she was helping a lot with
Mm.
that. And then once she left, it's just been no one else that's got capacity to pick it up in that level of detail.
I think there's a bigger issue, isn't there, about policies
Yes.
across the
Yeah.
service and how those are being monitored, kept up to date, so had for review at the right
Mm.
time. So I think I think the focus has obviously been Penola Morris, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But clearly there is a bigger policy issue.
Yes, yes.
It'd be something the deputy picks up then.
So we have a work stream on this. So it's in the transformation programme as the wider policies piece, and we've had a discussion in a meeting recently around where that currently sits, because there's lots of change in the ownership of the departments. We need as an ELT to agree where that sits in the ownership of that, because I think it's currently a gap, and we need to look at the function within the service. So we talk a lot about a policy officer, but essentially I think we need to look at our approach to policy and procedures, where that sits and who owns that currently.
So that's someone needs to come back to us, hang around our relation. Okay. Market supplements, like that.
I've done the same for this one, just a quick pricing because you've got the document to read. So the market supplements update report is for information and assurance purposes again. This report provides an update on the application of this new approach and its impact on the service's ability to recruit for key roles. Commissioners are asked to note the application of market supplements to support recruitment challenges. And again, indications for the community regulation and asset delivery are covered off in section 3 of the report. So the bit of background is that in December 2024, Board of Commissioners approved the introduction of market supplements. This was based on some research which involved a report by the CIPD, which is Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, that was titled Resourcing and Talent Planning Report 2024, and also a technical note in the Local Government Services Job Evaluation Scheme Guidance. They were used to inform our approach towards market supplements. In the report, sections 1.4 and 1.5 give a little bit more detail on that. A new job evaluation and market supplements procedure is in draft. It will shortly proceed to consultation through the normal processes, and we are hoping to publish that by the end of quarter 3 this year. In paragraph 2.2, under issue proposal, you can read that there have been 3 market supplements approved since the introduction of this at the end of 2024, and they total a value of £21,343 a year, which is pensionable. These supplements being awarded has allowed the service to recruit following successive failed recruitment exercises for 3 different roles. Going forward, consistent evaluation and monitoring is planned, and there's a review meeting scheduled in October to review the overall process as it is, and also which payments are currently being made.
So in regards to the money set aside for 21,000, is that a budget code somewhere?
Yes.
It is,
Yeah.
and we're underspent presumably. Do we have an amount put aside for it?
I'd need to check with finance colleagues.
Otherwise, we could recruit for a job and say, "Oh, we've got to put market supplement there," and finance go, "Well, we understand this off." So, just need to make. How is it? How do they get the money for it? If it's not already in the budget going forward, and then we want this market supplement.
So that's a question for finance,
Yeah.
but there is a business case that drives the kind of process. So the importing manager needs to complete the business case, share how often they've gone out to market, and then they must have done a benchmark with salaries out in the market. So that bit is all done through an audit trail.
It's quite detailed. isn't it?
yeah.
Piece of work this needs to be completed to sort of apply for the award of the market supplement is really quite in depth.
Yeah.
So I guess so we just need to make sure that finance have got budget right for it, because otherwise it's additional strain. So there's that. Because if we don't spend it, then it's quite good for finance, because it's an underspent back into the system. And the other part is there are some jobs that you know that we're going to need a market supplement from the start. ICT, this particular job, we know we're going to struggle. We could put ourselves, our own process could make it, well, we need to go out 3 times before we find, we could be 6 months down the road before we do what we've done now. And I understand why the process has got all these steps, but we know that the ICT one's going to be problematic.
It's a reasonable point, and it is something that we probably need as a service to consider. I don't know who it would sit with, but we are finding more and more that our jobs are going out into the market and they don't really meet the market value anymore. And it applies sort of across all different sectors, different roles. And as you say now, we know that it's likely that the salary that we've put against us, a role that we need to go out on, is likely to not be enough. And we don't have a mechanism in place to preempt the market supplement issue at all. And we can't even go through, the sort of job evaluation process because it hasn't changed. It's how the salaries are set. And to be quite honest, I haven't ever experienced this before, so I'd need to go and do some research about how we would reassess what our salaries are, and it would have to be the whole thing because we seem to be coming short at a lot of levels.
So we can't do it as a one-off for certain roles. I preempt is what you're saying, rather than have the failed, because failing on an advertisement feels a bit like listing your house for sale, doesn't it? You list it at an inflated price, you list it again at a slightly reduced price, you list it again. But by that point, people seeing it on the internet don't want to buy it because it's a stinky old house that's been on the market forever. The job could get a bit like that.
Yes.
The technical guidance talks about failing. So it's based on you have to prove that you've tried to recruit and you can't. But we can have another look at that and see if there's any scope for flex.
Because already we're 6 months behind the curve on the ICT job, which we've had coming out. We need something there because the deputy head of ICT is available as well.
Which isn't.
Is it? Who's that? Is
Yeah,
that
but there isn't a deputy.
No.
There's 2 or 3 in
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay.
Mm.
So we need to do something.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a deputy head before?
No.
No, but one of the other managers within the department is not in work at
Yes.
presently.
That's probably what I'm getting. Yes. So there's a lack of capacity at the head of some of the organisations. Because we've got Chris going off, and then one of the deputies that's not there.
And just to add, so this will apply to particular roles. Looking into the recruitment portal,
Yeah,
some roles that we've got out at the moment have got 14 applicants.
Yeah.
So it's confined, I would
Yes.
say.
Yeah, these are very specialist.
Yes.
Yeah, anything else on market
I would include legal in that. Say, for example, I'm doing some market research at the moment, and I think the reason, I think getting maternity cover is always difficult anyway, but I think the reason we weren't at the right pitch, and so I think there are specialist roles where that's definitely an issue in advance.
Okay, anything else? No, safeguarding. Very much so.
Seems like that, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay, go number 3. So the safeguarding update is for information and assurance purposes again. The commissioners are asked to scrutinise the progress made in strengthening safeguarding arrangements and service, endorse continued embedding through training, DBS checks, safe haven provision and leadership behaviours, and also note that work is underway to develop a new safeguarding strategy for the service. The implications again for community regulation, assets and delivery are in section 3. So the Morris report and HMIC FRS recommended that service ensures safeguarding is understood as both a legal and core cultural priority. Our progress to date includes the introduction of enhanced DBS checks, designation of fire stations as safe havens, clearer reporting mechanisms within service and mandatory training for all colleagues. We have in place a safeguarding and welfare procedure, which does set out a clear process for staff, volunteers and contractors, as well as the roles, responsibilities and expectations for them. It is scheduled to be reviewed in line with the redrafting of all the procedures recommended in the Morris report. So our progress in a little more detail which we'll find in section 4, we are committed to rolling out safeguarding training across the organisation, which is following the NFCC Safeguarding Children and Adults Competency Training Framework, and the link is provided there. It's very long. It's a very large document that you want to add some appendices. The Group A training module, which is appropriate for all staff to take, was launched via the eHub platform and is accessible via our XD employee portal. And at the time of this report, 80% of staff had completed that training. Once Groups B to E training has been sourced or developed, it will be rolled out to the relevant roles. And so with each group, the number of people covered shrinks down. Our statutory duties as a regulated activity employer are being met through right to work checks and DBS enhanced with barring checks, as well as appropriate level DBS checks for all roles. At the time of this report, 899 DBS renewal checks have been completed since February 2024. The majority of these are enhanced with barring checks for operational employees. Planning is underway to complete all the outstanding rechecks by prioritising enhanced with barring checks and then moving on as resource allows with our rolling programme of 3 yearly renewal DBS checks following that. For the safe havens, all the appropriate stations, which is dependent on location, are established now as community safe havens, where members of the public can seek immediate safety and safeguarding support should they need it. In Appendix 1, I've added detail provided to me by our community safety colleagues, which is their procedure that is in place to provide support to anyone having to staff a station when the safe haven is accessed. The reporting mechanisms used by our operational staff, which would be to report domestic violence and other general safeguarding concerns, are more confidential than they were and accessible to our staff who want to make the reports. They're available digitally and non-digitally and under our control. Where our employees are implicated in a safeguarding concern that might fall under Section 5 guidelines, they are referred to the relevant authority safeguarding agency and monitored via professional concerns boards and multi-agency safeguarding hubs, with involvement where appropriate by either myself usually or another people services manager and our safeguarding lead officer. At present, the safeguarding lead officer is on long-term sick and has been for some time. So the training is more delayed than we would like because of that.
And that's the person who rewriting the strategy as well.
So they currently sit in another directorate and we're moving them into our directorate, but we'll probably pick up that strategy work depending on how much longer they can.
Right. So is our current, so you finished?
Yes.
Yeah. But is our current safeguarding strategy we just need a routine updating, or
No, I think you probably need to full rewrite.
safeguarding is one that we get a lot of trouble if we don't get this right.
Mhm.
Then it just needs a vulnerable person not to be properly dealt with, and then the station said I dealt with it according to procedure.
Yeah.
So what's the time frame on sorting this person coming into the directorate?
Yeah. So we have a safeguarding procedure, so that sets out roles and responsibilities. We're currently working with one of our ops colleagues around bringing the individual into the directorate, working out.
Actually, the director to rewrite the policy, can't they rewrite it? I don't know where they are and then manage their move across.
They are on sick.
How long have they been there? Long term?
Yeah. Considerable time.
So we're not going to get this sorted out quickly, then, are we?
Probably not extremely
So
quickly, but as quick as we can.
Hugh James,
Essentially.
if
Could
they're
contribute.
if they're long-term sick and they're not.
Our plan, I've literally heard this week that it's been agreed that the role can move across to our department. So what our plan is at this point is to source sickness cover. Get somebody in so that we can get things moving quickly. So obviously it's literally just come across to us this week.
Okay. So we need to find out, are they going to get someone back, we get someone to cover the sickness period, rather than outsource and or outsource the safeguarding,
Yeah.
so we need to get this someone done.
We could, you know, we could look at that, whether we focus on the framework or whether we just prioritise it ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will hopefully within the next few weeks have something to cover.
So we have that, it's an action, isn't it? But isn't it the fire stations for safe havens under the national curriculum? Are they designated that?
Not officially, so I think they're two slightly different things. So I think I'm not sure what we do in Wales, if I'm brutally honest. But I know that in England, when we engage with school children, we tend to say to them, if you need somewhere to go safe, police, ambulance, fire stations,
Yeah, that's
are,
different.
are a good place to go as a general point of contact, but they're not designated as safe havens necessarily. So fire stations might not have somebody in them or might not have the process, etc., to be able to do that. So I don't think it's an official mechanism. Here we're talking about declaring them as official mechanisms
Yes.
and having policies and procedures
Yeah.
that support that.
Police as well.
Yeah.
We've got a link with the police force so that we can call them when this happens, when it comes into play. So it is quite.
It does happen. I
Yeah,
think we could probably somehow get the data,
Yeah.
but it does happen.
Did try.
You're having people present to stations as safe havens.
Different thing.
Anything else? Anyone got any other comment?
I was just going to give you a bit of reassurance because I've got a long list of compulsory training to do as an ex-staff. I've been nudged because I haven't been doing it, and I did my safeguarding only this week.
Oh,
So
thank you.
that might be 81% now. I don't know. But can I just say it's probably the best online training I've ever done. So it was very good. It was very easy to follow, lots of graphics, and then you do a quiz at the end, which you have to pass, and it makes you redo more. Because I got one question wrong, and I had to go back and redo again. So
You
yeah,
have to get it all right.
you have to get it all right. So it's a really good module. So,
Thank you.
Right, anything else? No, moving on then to. I know,
Yeah,
I've been waiting for this one all day.
I know. I can imagine. Okay, so sickness absence data. As you know, we normally report annually on our sickness absence data, but this is a snapshot really, hence why the report was late. So apologies for that. I think that we asked the commissioners note the current levels of sickness absence, which I know you do, and the steps more importantly being taken to address that and help support, I think, our employees going forward. So the report clearly shows that in June and July we did have a spike. So we were projecting that our sickness levels were going to come down. We obviously haven't seen that happen, and there was a slight spike. We can directly correlate some of those reasons back to 2 disciplinary cases, which are based around specific stations. So it's seen a number of personnel book sick with work-related stress, one in June and one in July, and it's not ones and twos, we're talking whole watches. So that's probably directly relatable to work-related stress.
Whole watch book sick.
One whole watch is book sick, yeah, with work-related stress. So that doesn't explain all the sickness, obviously, but that is a substantial amount of people. Obviously, we weren't expecting to hit our sickness levels. I think what we're looking to do overarching is much tighter management of our attendance management, our absence going forward. We've got a couple of different ways that I thought I'd highlight that we're looking to do that. So first of all, policies, as we've just been talking about, we've got 3 new policies that are currently out for consultation, some of which I'm led to believe that we have received feedback from fairly recently from the unions. Nothing of any concern, nothing that's going to stop us proceeding forwards. They're the medical redeployment policy, the modified duties and reasonable adjustments, and a new attendance management policy. And within those, it clearly sets parameters of who does what, so where the expectations are on employees, on managers, and the role of not only occupational health, but business partner of wellbeing and the people services. In the past, standards have slipped. I think that's quite fair to say. What one person does is very different to the next person. So this clearly puts back in the parameters of what is acceptable. and the steps that everybody needs to take to make sure that process is followed and it's followed in a timely manner. So that's the policy element of it. Processes, our occupational health units are in the process of implementing the new patient management system. I had a run through earlier on this week. It's a really user-friendly system, I will say, from both ends. So from an employee perspective, but an employer perspective as well. So the idea is that it would reduce the duplication of work, because what you find at the moment is people services are doing certain aspects, as are occupational health, and the left hand isn't talking to the right hand as you would expect it to. So it will reduce that. It will also help clarify. At the moment, we've got stress at work or stress as one coding. So it doesn't drill down into whether it's stress at home or stress at work, which number one is an issue because we can't understand where those pinch points are within the organisation. But number two, doesn't help us look after the well-being of our employees. It doesn't help us put an action plan in that's probably the most suitable for individuals. So the coding within the system will help our data analysis going forward. Yeah, and then we can pull from that, and obviously action plans will be put in place, but also it highlights to occupational health a lot sooner than it does now through the current system that we're working. That makes sense. KPIs have been brought into the department, so not only people services, but occupational health as well. So it's the first time occupational health have worked with key performance indicators, and they are very much driven around driving down our sickness levels, but also the role of attendance of occupational health, in facilitating that return to work a lot quicker, and their involvement along with the business partner of wellbeing. So at the moment, there's a delay sometimes in cases into the involvement of our nurses, our doctors, or even our business partner. So again, those KPIs will help drive the length of time that we're seeing those interactions happening down, so that our employees are getting support and guidance from much closer to the day that they initially book sick. BMIS now, when we're talking on data, BMIS is now available for all of our heads of service. Yeah. So all managers. Oh, there you go, and group managers. So again, putting a bit of onus on the group managers to understand what their unitary authorities look like when we're looking at attendance management, absence data. So they've got an awareness, more of a holistic awareness of where their problem areas or times of years or months, whatever it might be, are, so that we can work. There's a couple of different people working at driving this data and driving levels down rather than just one. So it's less siloed working, more working in collaboration and responsibility, I would say. And then finally, and I know you've probably got a lot of questions, it's just awareness. So I was speaking to Alison about this the other day, in that we've got a big piece of work to do, I would suggest, within the service at highlighting, number one, the new attendance management policies, how you book sick, why it's important for every single employee, regardless of rank or role. But number two, we need to do a big piece of work around the data that we have on our employees. So, for example, at the moment, our People XD system, not just diversity data, but personal data, is lacking significantly in what we needed to say. So when I was with occupational health the other day, they explained that if I was off with some condition and my report comes directly to myself on my personal email, my personal email's not in there. Obviously, I'm not going to get the reports, but then the report comes to me, I can access it on my email, but then code goes to my mobile phone for like the 2.4. So I can never say that. Thank you. But we haven't got the numbers of all of our employees on the system. So we have written out to our employees before and said, just as a service update, please ensure your core data and diversity data are up to date, but still it isn't. So people are then not able to access their own reports to read them, to then go back to occupational health to say, yes, release to my line manager, no, don't. So delaying significantly. Occupational health don't get that notification, so it's on the person to ring occupational health. You can see where I'm going. So there's a huge delay. So I think we need to do a big piece around why data is important and give these types of examples so people understand the importance of why we need your telephone number, an up-to-date email address, an up-to-date address, your diversity data at the same time. So we need to definitely get a stronger comms piece and an engaging comms piece, I would suggest. And we need our station commanders heavily involved in representing that message and speaking up and driving that at their stations as well. And then finally, we are looking at additional kind of like programs, which I know is coming to SLT later on, no, next month, which talks around potential introduction of stress management and resilience of stress within the workplace, and what actually is stress and what are expectations versus what people think is stress at work. So again, it's kind of that upskilling soft skill training to go across the organisation. Just to help people understand it a bit more. A lot to do.
Okay, right.
You're welcome.
So I went downstairs today and I checked on, we're supposed to have on the fire station, 161 is the per shift. That gives us our 664 rider shift.
Yeah.
We've got on Red Watch, 21 off sick
Mhm.
and 17 on White Watch. And that's about 13% of them, 21 out, 6 on. It's just off the charts in terms of a sickness percentage. I sit on an NHS board and people get really excited and upset about 5.38. And so 13% we're nowhere with this. Now, I guess there are things about, there's a whole range of things. Some people are off sick because they can't get their leave. Some people are sick stressed. Some people are off sick because occupational health say you need to be on sick leave because, so there's a whole series of things, for example, which people aren't being, there isn't a proper framework for day duties. So I understand it. If we have people off sick for 6 weeks with a particular thing, they can come into work, they can come into the office, they can come into headquarters. We don't seem to have many people on restricted duties.
Yeah, or modified duties.
Modified duties. I mean, where are we with the modified duties approach? There's a thing about someone who's persistently sick, say 3 strikes, then they should be going on certificated rather than self-certificating. There needs to be some sort of trigger points. I just wonder how well the return to work interviews are being done, and have we audited or assessed the quantity and quality of return to work interviews, see that they're being, because that's generally regarded as one of the most effective means of reducing sickness, is knowing that you're going to have to come in and explain and look your manager in the face and say, look manager in the eye and say, I was sick, I did this. And it's a small brigade. Lots of people know what lots of people are up to.
Yeah.
And so I think there are things that we could be doing with that. And I think looking at the patterns, because I've spoken to a couple of people and they can predict the individuals who are going to go sick and when they're going sick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just around Christmas, Easter and the summer. It's when they suddenly go almost very quiet in terms of requests and everything, and before they've gone sick. And I think there's a system out there that people are familiar with how to use. When I've spoken to HR people, they say we've got the processes and procedures in place, ops don't apply them properly, the group commanders, the social commanders aren't applying the procedures. The ops people say the procedures are too loose, they're too lax, we can drive coach and horses through. So you're getting it from both sides, and both sides are almost saying, well, it's not us, it's everyone else. But in the meantime, we've got 21 people off 161 on the fire engines. And we've got 35 over establishment, the buffer. And the buffer is just compensating for this. You're putting off the buffer is 37. You're talking about 8 or 9 people per watch in the buffer, which reduces the sickness factors. That's not tolerable. We need to bring the buffer down. So the next time we get down to maybe +5, then maybe I don't even know why we should be recruiting them. We don't need to keep feeding the training centre. We've either got an establishment with workforce or we don't. And if it takes us below a fire engine to come off, then we need to start dealing with that. At the moment, we're paying to keep the fire engines on, but we're not able to deal with the people who are going off sick. So, and I also then wonder, have we got people at the right level making decisions, or are they just chucking it out? Taking, it's not a good metaphor to use when you talk about sickness, but they're pushing the decision upwards to someone who then pushes it up to someone else and just signs it off.
Yeah.
And my understanding of speaking to people from other brigades who've come in, wasn't necessarily Dominic, but other people who've come in, they're sort of narrowed it down to that. So
Wait to see what he says.
saying that, you know, they're much firmer in their trigger points in terms of taking action.
Mm.
Now, it should be treated as sickness, but equally, if someone's particularly sick, they need to go to occupational health, we need to get them the right solution for what's causing their own way, and we need to get them back into work. But at the moment, we've got a lot of people off sick, and some for a long time, and it's costing us a bundle of money. If we were looking at efficiencies, this would be one of the places we could go, because it's of our own making. We don't have to cut any fire stations, don't have to cut any fire jobs, we just need to reduce the sick days. And we're going to have to do something substantial, because if we're running at 13% on one kind of shift, I mean, but that's why I wanted someone from ops in it, because I want to be able to ask the people in ops, so what are you doing about it?
Yeah.
Why are you running with 13% sickness on watch? What is the area commander in ops doing? The system should operate.
It is a whole system problem.
Yeah.
It's not just the policy. And Han, you had an example, didn't you, recently,
Oh, yeah.
where you had some information shared with you.
Yeah, so I was out doing taking care of behaviours fairly recently, and so it works really well actually, because operational staff are given basically a bit of an open floor, and you learn a lot. So I learned on this occasion, there was an individual who said they I won't go through the backstory because I had their life story a little bit, but ultimately they've got young children and they share the responsibilities with their partner. Partner was away with work at the weekend, 4 or 5 months notice. They put in a PH, had the PH rejected kind of a month before the date was meant to be in place, then put into a WhatsApp group for cover because they're of a certain level. Nobody could cover. They covered one of the 2 night shifts, so it was the Sunday night that they were struggling with. Didn't really know what to do. Rang central staffing, because central staffing deal with that element, not people services at present. And we're told, well, there's nothing you can do. You need to source your own cover. This person then said they can't put in a care dependence leave application because it'll be denied, because they've already told, they put us on notice basically that they're going to struggle with that date 4 months prior. So we're told you cannot put in a care dependence leave, like it will be rejected. And that individual then said to me, oh, what am I meant to do? Am I meant to bring my 4-year-old and whatever else to work on Sunday, because I have got no immediate family for different reasons. I've got nobody to have the children, and now I don't know what to do. And turned around and said to me, this is why nobody is putting in public holiday requests anymore. Everybody is booking sick because they know they'll get them cancelled. They know they'll get them rejected.
So that's the structural problem that we've got. So that's what we've got to deal with. We've got to do the whole shooting match, because it's not working, and we are having a. It's costing us. What is a firefighter supposed to cost?
Gosh,
Probably about
40 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
40, 50
55.
grand, I'd say.
So
Yeah.
50 grand, and you've got nearly 40 posts over the establishment. That's £2 million there and then, just to that's only contributed partly towards offsetting the sickness. So we've got to. That's why I think we're going to have something. It's quite a deep one. It's going to have to forward main board, because we're not going to be able to resolve it here,
No.
because it, as you say, it's a whole system thing. It's about are the processes sufficiently robust? Are they being applied effectively? And what is the impact? Because at the moment the impact is not. And I know you said we had spikes in July and August, but this is September data. And before I went on the sort of end of the first week of September, it was these numbers still. And that's after the kids have gone back to school.
We've had a few grievances in recently relating to peaches.
I thought there was a procedure that we were sorting PhDs out. Paying.
Yeah.
It was,
Matt Jones was involved in that, head of ops, wasn't he? Wasn't that on a trial basis? Yeah, but there was a certain amount then that you could do additional shifts, wasn't it? Into it. The idea was to alleviate that backlog of PHs and reduce the number being declined. I don't know where he is with that, but that definitely is something that's happening.
So my understanding of that is that they have done a negotiation on it and it's now being trialled.
time and a half. I guess, and I gather there is a workaround being discussed at first stage to speak. Right, so
So I'm noting that we want this to go back to board of commissioners. We've got a meeting in December, so it does give us a bit of time to do some work on it.
And
And it's the chief's priority as well.
yes,
so-
I mean, you're the gatekeeper to the processes.
Yeah.
But other people are responsible for pushing them through. If the processes aren't sufficiently robust, then, you know, there's this thing about return to work interviews. Have we ever audited return to work?
Pardon? Has there been a gradual increase in outstanding return to work, so there's people not doing those declines?
There are, yeah, that data is questionable slightly. Return to works are in the process of being put onto our People XD system. So at the moment, it's a P form. And there are issues with that because it goes directly to the line manager if the line manager is correct in People XD. And if they're not in work, it sits in that inbox until somebody says, I haven't had return to work, or it flags to, I think our PSA is around 28 days. So then we're obviously heavily behind and we're not having those conversations like you suggested. So there is work being done about bringing that process onto People XD. And though I don't know the details of that, but you can set up notifications in that system. So whether or not we could have it flagged to an independent people services advisor or an inbox that is manned daily by our department. And then again, it's that collaboration then.
But then also, this is where the group commander responsible for the ops area should be seeing that and saying, right, why would there being a return to work interview? Sort of saying, getting on the station commander. Yeah, I think you can look at the data, but the people taking the actions should be, we're talking about fire stations, should be the group commanders. That's why we need someone like us in this meeting. So I can say to them, right,
Yeah.
you have to get a handle on this. Occupational health, which is the bit that comes under sales. Is it? Are they operating as effectively as you think they should be in terms of modified duties and getting people, putting people onto modified duties in the first instance?
No, I don't personally think. We've just recently you're aware, an occupational health manager over there.
Yes, that's what.
And I think that already, but definitely will have a significant impact in making these things happen. I think the lines have been blurred, and they've been blurred because it's just historic. That's the way that it's always worked, and for whatever reason, it's not been reviewed as it should be. But I think now the introduction of a manager over there, and I think to talk for themselves, really, don't they? So it is absolutely a point of risk, and it is something that needs to be looked at. So I would suggest now the onus and clarification on what occupational health therefore will be a lot clearer.
So, I mean, there was the thing about someone going sick 3 times within 12 months period, saying, right, you've got to go certificated, or your next period has to be certificated. And then they've got to get a doctor to say, yeah, you're sick. Because if they can't get leave, that's a separate thing. You need to deal with that under I can't get leave. This is that dealing with sickness.
Yeah, I agree. The previous absence procedure used to be a lot stricter when it came to the trigger points. Yeah,
And
and
we came under a lot of criticism for having the three strike sort of system.
Yeah, well, of course, because
now we've kind of gone a bit
so we
the
took it
way.
out because
Yeah.
and now we're all over the show.
Yeah, and I think that's known as well. Speaking
exactly.
to a couple of the group
Yeah.
managers, I think people are very savvy when it comes to that.
Exactly. So of course, when we went to consultation, we're going to take the 3 strikes out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, that's.
Yeah.
I think we've got to, we cannot continue to tolerate these high levels of sickness. Again, I appreciate you're the gatekeeper to the process, people that manage this. Also, I think this is about putting station commanders and watch commanders on the notice, and experts dealing with this. They're the line reporting managers to most of the staff. So, okay, well, let's say more, just saying the same thing again. So I think we've got the essence of what we need to do. There'll be plenty of outstanding actions. Get it sorted. And you might want to talk to your colleagues in the meantime. The link, who's the HR business partner on?
It depends, they're split to UA on this.
Yeah.
Yes, but the wellbeing business partner is Natalie Howell.
Well-being. So does that cover sickness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
for ops.
Oh,
Everybody.
working with ops.
But we can put a message out because we go into like the station commander meeting. So we can speak to operational colleagues in groups. That would really naturally, they probably would do.
And we can say to them if it would help them, that like a station commander and a group commander to come into the next people committee to explain just how they do it.
We have, just for your awareness, we have got, myself and Gemma had a planning meeting with the head of ops and Lisa Schroll earlier this week about a specific GM, so group manager, station manager day, where we talk about the rebrand of people services. But this is exactly the kind of thing that we're going to talk about. So new policies, no process, what is expected of you, and also what's expected of our department, and how can we work with you. So sickness is obviously one of the main things that we would like to talk to them about. So it's an educational collaboration. By all means, come.
Right, okay. And we should probably get somebody who's going to come and speak to us, who's not one of the usual people that helps out and puts themselves forward. Someone who doesn't come up here.
A special commander and a group commander.
Yeah, really.
It doesn't normally address people committee, but it's not an explained process.
Yeah, people who don't normally come to headquarters. Give a chance to share
It's a
that.
name in a hat.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Otherwise, we always go to the people that are always going to help out, and actually, you know, they're already trying to do their best. Okay, so simply say forward work program. And this is going to have to be included in the forward work program.
Yes. I like seconds. Now, I've been taking focus notes, so I'll
Yeah.
put a lot in that direction about what that needs to be.
Okay. Right. So then, items been the chairperson do that, and on the vice report back to the board of commissioners. Yeah, I already hinted that today's meeting, so we're going to have to bring some. Okay, right. That's been me asking you questions. Now it's a chance for reflections. Go easy on me.
No, I think I was expecting questions that you posed, and I think they're fair, so nothing from me, no.
Yeah, right.
Right level of challenge, but I agree, I think we need, we did used to have ops people in the room, so I don't know why that's dropped off.
I was asked earlier if ops were needed, and I said I didn't think they were, because
Okay.
I'd read the reports, but I had forgotten in particular the sickness report and the fact that that would have been useful, so I take blame
Yeah,
for that.
no, that's right. Because I think when we looked at the weightings, ops is going to cover 1,300 plus people.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can say I've clarified,
Okay.
and actually it would be useful to have someone from ops in the room.
good.
Yeah.
And ops. No? In the corner. No?
Alan?
Okay. Date and time next meeting.
Did you want to do forward work?
Hang on. Oh yeah. Thanks for the time.
The page 39, so for December, we have this sickness item first, we've got progress report from the jobs evaluation board. 6 monthly personal review update, I guess these are standard papers.
Yes,
The gender pay gap, I'm not sure why there's there's a snapshot date at the end of March, I don't know
Yeah.
why it takes until
Yeah.
December to get here. But
yes, so with this one as well, these two, the pay policy and gender pay,
Yeah.
go into Board of Commissioners,
Yeah.
that they come into this committee for,
Was there a
challenge.
timing issue with it last?
yeah, last year, they were both in March, so we were a bit tight, so we've pulled these into December.
So they're going to Board of Commissioners.
In
Why are they
March.
going to both?
And we usually kind of kick the tires around on them, and I find it helpful, I'm honest.
I'm just querying why it has to go to board as well, because I'm trying to remember where it used to go to in my own constitution.
It can either be delegated to a staff.
Yeah.
But it's a quiet thing that I know that the other commissions get rid of
Yeah.
the staff.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So I just checked that it's also in the Board of Commissioners one for the following year, for the whenever it's
Yeah.
years.
It is, I think it's in March. I saw it earlier.
And an inclusive action plan. An update on the IAP is inclusive action plan and firefighter pension update.
Yeah,
And that's following consideration presumably at the local pension board.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
There's plenty of stuff coming out of this one. It's quite.
I did add at the end of the check of the page, just because you asked me to, but you said towards the end of the your tenure,
Yes.
a progress report, the Commission's terms of reference relating to people, because then we can focus on those terms of reference.
So it'll be 2 years. So, okay, these are all the ones allocated to them and HR side of the organisation. Government will provide a lot of the detail of that, in terms of where, how many signed off. They should all be signed off. Let's get part of the governance thing to make sure that we can tick the box there to say that part is responsible to this committee's oversight when it's signed off.
Stop recording.
Right.
Thank you.
And I'll be